Hi, I'm Rob from Garden House 24. Over the next week or so, we're actually going to be starting to build a new Monaco 44 for a display here. So you can see here, I've got a small backyard spot right next to a golf course that we're going to put this up on. So I'll be filming all the bits and pieces to see how it goes and in-depth review of each of the components as we go along also. So let's get cracking. So as you can see, I'm surrounded by the components we need to build the shed. So I've had the Monaco 44 arrive. This is how it turns up from our warehouse and how it rocks up to your site. So all the components for the Monaco 44 are in this one big container. Now with this site here, I've decided to put a floating floor down, so a metal substrate, and that's why I've got delivered here also C-beams there to put together, so that will actually make up our foundation, as well as some actual legs there for stirrups to actually adjust to the ground. Roof color will be a brownish color. So I've got the actual ColourBond roofing here with the flashings and the actual battens. So this is all in one go, delivered like it would be to your place if you're looking for the same sort of thing. So this is the site that we're going to be putting this new building on. It's almost level, but not fully. So as I said before, I'm going to use stirrups to help with the actual foundation, get it nice and level, and then build up from there. I've actually laid out all the bearers and joists that we received from the supplier, so they've actually cut for us this front. This will be the actual sections that will break off, and they'll make the front patio joist section. So what I've done is laid out the actual frame just to make sure the sizing was correct to start with, and I found that obviously with the 60mm overlap of this section here, I had to cut back to 45mm so that the sizing for when we actually put it together matches the same as the floor sizing for the internal building. So all I'm doing is making the frame of the outside first, outside 4, and then what I'll do, I'll mark out on the internals where the internal joists go and screw those in as we go. So it's been leveled up and squared up. So tomorrow will be the start then of actually opening up the pack here. First thing to do obviously is open the pack up, sort out all the components, and then we'll start the base and work from there. So now we're going to open up the pack, set up all the parts beside each other to make sure we got all the components we require for this, and then go from there. So I've kept the pack actually closed up until I've needed it. So I've just cut around the base. So if I'm not using anything at all, I can still keep it covered up. What I'm looking for is this. So this is your instruction booklet. It gives you all the information you need for the building. Use this one to actually do a check off of all your components. So here it is, the Monaco 44. One thing you look at before you start building your house, if you actually get the design that has that little symbol in the corner there, that means the walls can be turned and changed from either side of the building. So if you don't want the window on this side, you want it on this side, or the screen from this side to that side, that can be done with this design. And you can see here that all the components are listed out, sizing, etc., quantities, including down to your screws, bits and pieces, slats and doors. All right, I'm going to now start taking this pallet apart and stocking it in a nice, dry, clean location. I've now stacked. So the first stuff we're going to work with is the internal underfloor, so that's the framework. And then what we've actually done is put in underneath here, separated each component separately, marked it all off. You can see our checklist there. So every component size is actually marked off and set aside, and I can confirm that all components were delivered as requested. We've laid out the timber that we're going to start with. So these are the FBIs in the actual timber. They are treated also. So the next step, as I said before, is now to lay them out, pre-drill holes, put them together, and then get this thing started. Stage 1 is done. So now the actual base of the building is now put down. You can see here, so on top of the actual foundation of the steel frame, we put the first run. It's treated timber, 70 by 45mm. So that now takes the base of the whole building. We've secured it down. We don't supply the actual screws to secure the base you're using. So with us using a steel base here, I've supplied some batten screws. You can see there. And that base is fully secure now. Nice and square, nice and flat. Quite simple. Alright, so now we're going to start the actual first runs of the actual building itself. These are the only ones that actually have screwed to the base, so we'll get these lined up and I'll put a bit of time lapse on so you can see it in production. So an update, we're now 3 boards in, so it hasn't taken too long at all to get these 3 boards up. You can tell by the actual time lapse. So this building is different to the other lap building. This is a screw together building, so you see the joins are actually done by screws, where other designs in our range have the actual laps in it. So focusing on the outside walls, firstly, this is where the front door will be. This is where the actual window will be on this corner here. Going together quite easily, quite nicely. So at end of day 2, well actually first full day on building the actual structure itself. So I spent the morning obviously sorting out the components first. That was the first priority. Did all that, and then now we've actually got a fair bit of the actual base finalised off. And then you can see the actual internals now, the walls up. So we're up 7 runs up on this already, which is fantastic. This is where the front door will be here. The 2 windows on that side there in the corner. And the frame is going up nicely. So as you see, this morning we've been busy. We've actually got now door frames in, windows are in, and we're at least now 2/3 of the way up with the actual frame on the inside. And this is a screw together frame, so the corners are screwed and then it's locked in place afterwards. So double doors there and windows in the corner. We've also got the actual ends on, which is great. So the walls are done. Just gotta make sure you mark your 200mm inside lines. So she's pulled it all nicely inside here too. You can see the windows, everything's all closed up. There's trims in the middle to go up yet, but yeah, she's looking pretty good. Spent about 6 hours on it today, so about 12 to 13 hours so far to this point for myself, and my son gave me a hand for a little bit. So for 2 people, or less than 1.5 people, not too bad going. Tomorrow I'll finish off the ceiling. We'll put the actual colour bond on top then after that, and then we'll do the floorboards, and then we should be just about done. We're back for day 3. Last night I covered the roof. We had 3/4 or a half done with the tarp. We had a bit of rain, obviously a little bit of sprinkle, so I want to keep that as dry as possible, which is important when you're building one of these buildings, is to keep the timber as dry as possible. So now the doors have been fitted, as you can see here, and the windows have been set, so everything's been squared off now for the building. So I'm up to the stage now of actually laying the floor, so the last step is to put the floor in. And the reason I'm showing this now is that you can see the actual floor framework below hand. So obviously I've secured the flooring foundation to the C-channel beam, so you may choose to put that straight down onto a concrete slab or even onto a pro beam setup instead. So there's different options around the flooring you can use, but you can see the framework is there, it's all been set square, and I've actually now started to lay the floor. So if you've got the doors in the right spot to start with, you'll see that things line straight through, nice and square against it. So the first board I've actually laid right against that actual edge to make it nice and clean. Keeps the dust out. It fits nicely under the actual jambs of the door on both sides too, and it runs through. So after this is all laid, then we put a skirting and board around the bottom to finish that off cleanly. So what I've done, I've just brought in a heap of boards behind here. I'll go and lay 3 or 4 at a time, secure them in place, and then nail them all with the nail gun. So I've actually used the nail gun being a little bit faster than what it is, and the nails are hidden a bit better too than what using glouts. So quick walk around. So obviously the doors were fitted yesterday with the hinges. So these hinges are fully adjustable in and out to help you with the actual straightening the doors. So the most important thing is actually making sure your door does lock in place with your pins. Like so. You can see the gaps all the way around are quite nice and neat. The gap on the floor, level 2, is even. And then with the other door here, when it's fitted quite nicely, it will lock in place like so. Door gap again is square. That is all set off the actual hinges on the other side too, so it makes it nice and easy. And as you can tell, there's a guy mowing outside right now, and it's quite soundproof. Double glazed doors and windows helps with all that. The outside building, so you can we've put the corner pieces on. Locks all in place on both sides. The last little bit is a flashing to go on at the end, and the louvers on one end here also. So you had a good day? You had a lot of fun playing? Speak. Really? Okay. Nice to know. So after a few weeks of finishing this lovely building you see behind me here, I'm just going to run through a few things that we didn't film during the actual take of the building. So one thing you'll notice on top, we've got a colour-one roof, dark colour. Now in normal circumstances, that's not included within the build itself. So we supply the building that you see in front of you, but the colour-one roof we leave off. And the reason we do that is if we supply a colour-one roof as part of the deal, normally it's the wrong colour or the wrong profile. So you can see here I've chosen a dark colour, but you might want a light colour, green, red, or even a cream colour. We can sort that out for you and add to the quote at the same time. You can also add the guttering if you need be. So on this build here I've used a weather shield paint, so a good quality exterior paint. You could also use a stain if you like, just make sure it's good quality. Don't use the cheap crappy stuff to get things done easily. You want to make sure you maintain your building as best possible. You've invested a decent amount of money to make sure you got what you wanted, so just make sure you don't cut any corners with actually looking after your building. If you leave it natural, you won't get the years of life that you want out of the building, so make sure you do use a quality paint or stain. So let's have a look inside. So we now decked this out into a small office, which you can come and visit us at any time. Just let me know when you're free. We're based just south of Brisbane, and happy to sit down and chat with you at any time.